Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. I want to believe you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me loud and clear, please drop a comment. How are you doing today? Drop a comment, if you can hear me loud and clear. Also confirm you can see my screen. Confirm you can see my screen. How's been trading this week? How's been trading this week? Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me loud and clear, please drop a comment. If you have any question, good morning. I believe you can hear me loud and clear. Confirm you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Has been training for the week. So let's go straight to business. No time. Okay. So we'll start by looking at the calendar for today. Today is the 5th of June, and we're expecting major news from Euro and the United States. Then refinancing rate to be released from Euro by 1:15, and the monetary policy statement also will be released by 1:15. Then by 1:30, unemployment claims, United States unemployment claims will be released. And by 1:45 p.m., European Central Bank press conference will hold. Okay, so these are the major news that will be released later today. So if you're trading Euro pairs and USD pairs today, you should expect high volatility on those pairs. Expect high volatility on those pairs. Okay, so that's it for fundamentals. Let's go to the charts. Let's start by looking at dollar index. What are my thoughts on the dollar index? So yesterday I gave two calls on GBP USD and Australian dollar USD, and it didn't play out as expected. The call I gave was to sell GBP USD and Australian dollar USD. It didn't play out as expected because the major news that was released for the dollar, let's confirm that yesterday, the major news, like I told you guys, it was the bias was technical bias, and the news that was released later on was negative. You can see ISM services PMI was negative. The ADP non-farm employment change also was negative. That was why the dollar was bearish yesterday. But technically, dollar was supposed to be bullish. But after the major news got released and it came out negative for the dollar, dollar started selling. Dollar started selling, and I think that is the reason that technical setup didn't play out as expected. Okay. So today, okay, let's look at DXY. My take on DXY. So let's start with the daily time frame. Okay, my bias still remains bullish for dollar index. My bias still remains bullish today. Okay, my bias still remains bullish. You can see yesterday candle didn't break the support. You can see yesterday candle didn't break the support. You can see it didn't break the support. That sell was as a result of that major news that was negative for the dollar. That's the reason for the sell. Okay. So, and also I think if you go down to lower time frame, if you go down to 4 hour after the formation of this bullish candle, this Marubozu candle, if you go down to 4 hour, you can see we had a fair value gap. You can see this fair value gap. That could be the reason for this retracement. Okay, that could be the reason for this pullback. You can see this pullback. I think it's because of this fair value gap. Fair value gap. Okay, so what I learned from what played out or what happened yesterday is that whenever you have a major news to be released, let's say your buyers, just as we had it yesterday, my buyers was to buy GBP USD. If there are fair value gaps that are yet to be filled, I think I would have to wait for the major news to be released before I execute a trade. And if I decide to take a trade, I would not go all in. Any day there is a major news, okay, I wouldn't go all in. If I decide to take the trade, I don't want to wait for the news to be released. I wouldn't go all in. Okay, I would just risk maybe 50% of my daily drawdown. I will risk it on the trade, and most especially if there are fair value gaps that need to be filled, sell side fair value gaps. We have fair value gaps at discounts area that needs to be filled. I would patiently wait for those gaps to be filled. Most times when a major news is expected and there are fair value gaps that need to be filled, most times they will use the news to fill those fair value gaps before moving in the right direction. So I think that was what played out yesterday. The news was used to fill these fair value gaps that we had, at discounts. I think that was what played out yesterday. Okay, and after filling the fair value gap, you can see that the market is currently trading above the fair value gap. You can see that the market is currently trading above the fair value gap. Okay, the market is currently trading above the fair value gap, and that's the reason I said my bias still remains on bullish. If you have any question, please, if there's any pair you want me to analyze, drop it in the comment section. Now, there's something I wanted to also see here. Okay, like I said, my bias is bullish, but you could see that after this retracement here, a fair value gap was created on 4 hour. And what has played out this morning, okay, they've not filled that gap entirely. So this pullback, the buy that we've seen so far could also be as a sort of this fair value gap. You can see. So there is a warfare between this fair value gap and this fair value gap. Okay, there is a battle between this fair value gap and this fair value gap. So I think it will be best to wait for a candle to close above this fair value gap before going bullish. Okay, I think it will be best to wait for a price to close above this fair value gap before you go bullish. And if a candle closes below this fair value gap that has been filled, if a candle 1 hour or 4 hour closes below this level, then we should expect more sales on the dollar. We should expect more sales on the dollar. But let's see what's happening on the 1 hour time frame. Okay. So on 1 hour time frame, I think what we have here is a buy. I think what we have here is a buy. If you look at the pattern we had here, this is a bullish reversal pattern. And I think after this bullish reversal pattern formed at this point, I think a fair value gap was created, and that's the reason price had to pull back to fill that fair value gap. Let's confirm that on 15 minutes. Okay, so you can see on 15 minutes, we had a fair value gap here. Yeah, you can see this fair value gap. You can see this fair value gap here. That could be the reason for this retracement. Okay, that could be the reason for this retracement. And if you go down to 1 minute, I'm sure there's still a fair value gap below. That could be the reason for this breakout from this fair value gap on 15 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes. Let's see, 15 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so you can see the reason for the breakout from that. You can see on 5 minutes, we also had a fair value gap here. You can see why price broke out from that fair value gap on 15 minutes. We had a fair value gap here. on 15 minutes, you can see, and price is trading above that fair value gap now. And also, if you go back to 4 hour, okay, if you go back to 4 hour, let's go back to 1 hour. So at this point also, you can see price pulled back here, and I believe this pullback also, this pullback here, I think a fair value gap was created after the formation of this candle. That could be the reason. Let's see. Confirm that. So you can see the fair value gap it's created here. You can see this fair value gap. That could be the reason for this pullback. This fair value gap here. This fair value gap here. That could be the reason for this pullback. And also this pullback here, most likely a fair value gap was created at this point. Okay, that could be the reason for this pullback. Let's confirm that on 5 minutes. Most likely fair value gap was created at that point. That's why price had to pull back. So you can see, okay, we had this fair value gap on 5 minutes. Let's see 1 minute. There's a reason for that pullback. Let me just confirm. So you can see on 1 minute, we had a fair value gap here on 1 minute, and that could be the reason for this retracement. So based on the pattern on the lower time frame, I think dollar will be bullish today. Technically, I think dollar will be bullish today. But like I said, if dollar breaks out from this fair value gap, if 1 hour or 4 hour closes below this fair value gap, then you should expect more sales on the dollar. Expect more sales on the dollar. Okay. So that's my take for the dollar. Okay. My bias for today is buy. Technically, it is buy. It is buy. Okay. You could also wait. Like I said, if you want to buy the dollar now, you could just go in. Don't go all in. Don't go all in because there's a major news that will be released by 1:30. Most times when the major news is being expected, price will just go into a range. Price will just go into a range until the major news is released. That's what plays out 60 to 70% of the time. Okay. So that's it for. So let's look at yen basket. Yen basket. Let's start with the daily. Please, if you know any platform that has this yen basket, please let me know. Any MT4, MT5 that has yen basket, I would like to know. Okay, I prefer using the MT4 for my analysis. So if you know any platform that has yen basket, I would like to know that platform. So you can see, since the market opened today, yen has been bearish. Yen has been bearish since the market opened. Okay, this week so far it's indecision. It's neither bullish nor bearish. You can see it so far from Monday to Thursday. You can see this is an indecision candle on the weekly time frame. So neither buyers nor sellers has been in charge, has been in control. Okay, so yesterday candle closed bullish. Then we had a resistance here. So market tested. So today, I think what has played out today, you can see what they did. The first thing they did today was to clear the liquidity residing at yesterday high. You can see, I think that's what has played out on yen basket. They cleared the liquidity residing at this previous high. And after liquidity has been swept, the next thing I look out for is the candlestick pattern that forms on a lower time frame. So the swept liquidity residing at the previous day high, then I'll go down to 4 hour, which is the next lower time frame. If a bearish reversal pattern has formed on 4 hour, that tells me yen will be bearish. Tells me yen will be bearish if I'm able to identify a bearish reversal pattern on 4 hour time frame. So let's go down to 4 hour. Let's see the pattern we have on 4 hour. So you can see the pattern we have on 4 hour. You can see this is a spinning top. This is a spinning top, a bearish spinning top. Now, after the formation of this bearish spinning top, I think this was the last candle for yesterday market. After the formation of this spinning top, they know a lot of retail traders would have set their stop loss using the high of this spinning top. So the first thing they did this morning, I think, was to clear the liquidity residing at this high. And also you can see that we had a fair value gap here. You can see we had a fair value gap here. And that gap has been filled. You can see the gap has been filled. And after the gap got filled, what pattern formed? What pattern formed there? It's a bearish reversal pattern. So you can see this has been a good entry for sell on yen. You can see it's been bearish, and I think yen is still bearish. I think yen is still bearish. It might go for the stop losses, the liquidity residing at this previous low. And below this low, we have a fair value gap at this point, which could be the next draw on liquidity. When you see a fair value gap below the level of liquidity, most times that is the next draw on liquidity, this low, this area. Okay, so JPY might, okay, might drop to this zone. You can see little retracement at the moment. What is the reason for this retracement? What is the reason for this retracement? There's a fair value gap here. You can see this. That's the reason for the retracement we're seeing on yen basket now. You can see, can you see this? This fair value gap just got filled. You can see that's the reason for this retracement. That's the reason for this retracement. So if price breaks out from this level, then we should expect more sales to this level. Okay, if price breaks out from this level, expect more sales. Okay, and you can see I took a trade on GBP JPY this morning using 0.15 lot size. I took a trade 0.15 lot size, and you can see I made so much profit on this trade. From this point, I think I made over 70 something pips from this point. And the risk, the initial risk, over 80 pips, yeah, over 80 pips. Okay, and the risk I took on this trade, I think it was around 30 pips. Okay, yeah, I took 30 pips and I made 80 pips on this trade. So what I did was to close 0.1 lot size. I closed 0.1 lot size, and I'm left with just 0.05 lot size. Okay, and I'm going to adjust my stop loss. Okay, after this class, I'm adjusting my stop loss from this level to break even. So I don't care what happens. Okay, if price pulls back, I'm not going to lose on this trade. I'm not going to lose on this trade. I've already closed some profits, good profits. Okay, so if price pulls back and comes to hit my stop loss, that will be break even on this trade. Okay, and you can see where I set my TP. I use this high as my TP because this is a level of liquidity which I think they might go for. Okay, I could also exit. You can see this fair value gap here. You can see this fair value gap here. So I could also exit if price, okay, if a bearish reversal pattern forms inside this fair value gap, I would exit the trade. I don't have to wait for it to get to this level. Okay, you can see what we have here now. This is a bearish reversal pattern. You can see that's the reason I closed partials. I closed some of the profits. I had to close it. Okay, so if price breaks out from this high, the high of this candle, then it's going to aim for this fair value gap, and also could aim for this high, this previous high. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to adjust my stop loss on this trade. I would. Okay. Ebuka Australian dollar USD. Okay. Australian dollar. If you have any question, Mr. Godswill, if there's any pair you're considering trading today and you'd like to get my opinion on that pair, let me know in the comment section. Okay. So let's look at GBP USD. If you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. GBP USD, GBP USD. You can see the chart on GBP USD. Let's see 1 hour. It's really been messy. The chart on GBP USD so far. Let me go to 4 hour. Would say GBP USD has been in a range, kind of. If you have made good profits on GBP USD this week, congratulations. But the chart it's really been messy, and that's because this week is NFP week. That's because this week is NFP week. So you can see from this point, we can't say GU has given us a clear direction. You understand? It hasn't given us a clear direction. And today is Thursday. NFP will be released tomorrow, so we should expect GU is likely going to range between today and tomorrow. It's likely just going to remain in this range between today and tomorrow. Okay, but let's see. Let me start with the daily. So if we go by what we have on the daily time frame, yesterday candle, as you can see, closed above this resistance, and you can see this previous resistance also. This was last week resistance, and the market is currently trading above that resistance. So if I would take any risk on the dollar, on GBP USD, it will be a buy because the market is trading above this resistance. Okay, it's trading above this resistance. But let's see how yesterday candle closed on 4 hour. Let's see the last 4 hour candle. So it could also be they just want to clear the liquidity residing at the previous high of yesterday. Okay, so let's see 4 hour. So this is what we had on 4 hour yesterday. You can see this is a bearish reversal pattern. It's a bearish reversal pattern on the 4 hour time frame. Okay, so they might just want to clear, maybe sweep the liquidity residing at this previous high. Okay, you might want to just clear the liquidity and push price down. Like I said, GU might just be in a range until NFP news is released. Let's see 1 hour. So after the close of yesterday, let's see what we have on 1 hour. Okay, on 1 hour. So we had on 1 hour, bearish. Then let's see 15 minutes. So on 15 minutes, so this was the last. You can see the spinning top. We had a fair value gap here. You can see we had a fair value gap here. So price might just collapse from this point. You can see we had this fair value gap here. Price tested it yesterday. That was late hours of yesterday. And this morning, it has tested that area. You can see the rejection at this area. You can see there's been a lot of rejection from this fair value gap. You can see there's been a lot of rejection. So price can just drop from this zone. It can drop from this zone. So let me go down to 5 minutes. There's something I want to identify on 5 minutes. Let's see. Okay, so on 5 minutes, you can see we have this zone. If price doesn't break out from this zone, those of you that are my students, you know why I'm identifying those areas. If price does not break out from this zone, GBP USD is still bearish. If price does not break out from this zone, GBP USD is not bearish. You would only consider buying if 4 hour candle closes above this zone. That should be the time you should consider buying. If 4 hour candle closes above this zone, but if 4 hour candle does not close above this zone, don't buy GBP USD. Don't buy GBP USD. You can see that there's a strong resistance at this zone. You can see there's a strong resistance at this zone. So don't buy GBP USD unless 1 hour or 4 hour candle breaks out from this zone. Okay, don't buy GBP USD unless price breaks out from this zone. Okay, and if you are considering selling, you can see on 15 minutes we have this range. On 15 minutes, you could patiently wait for price to close below this support. Okay, you could wait patiently for price to close below this support before you jump in and start selling. Okay, wait for 1 hour candle or 4 hour candle to close below this level. Buy above this zone, sell below this zone. It means if you are buying above this level, you can set your stop loss. Your stop loss should be at this level. Go for risk reward of 1 to 2. Okay, so let's assume the candle close at this price and you decide to buy. You set your stop loss. You can just use 20 pips. Yeah, 20 pips as your stop loss, you go for 40 pips, at least 40 pips. And if price breaks out from this low and you decide to sell from this low, okay, if you decide to sell from this low, you can set your stop loss using the high of this, using this high, it's about 20 pips. Then you also go for at least 40 pips. That's my take on GBP USD. All right, we'll look at UJ, Mr. Emmanuel. Good morning. Okay, a few minutes. We'll look at UJ in a few minutes. Okay. Okay, we'll look at UJ in a few minutes. Please give the video a thumbs up if you haven't done that. Give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time participating on the live stream, do subscribe to the channel so that anytime I come on live, you get notified by YouTube. You don't want to miss any of the sessions. You don't want to miss any of the content I'll drop on this channel. Okay, so that is it for GBP USD. Let's look at Euro USD. We should find similar pattern on Euro USD. We should find similar pattern on Euro USD. Let me start with the daily time frame. Okay, so we had a resistance here on, this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So there has been a resistance since Monday, right? This resistance formed on Tuesday. After the close of Tuesday candle, we had a resistance here. In as much the market is still trading below this resistance, Euro USD is bearish. Okay, as far the market is still trading below this resistance, I would only consider buying if price breaks out from this resistance. Okay, because if we apply our Fibonacci from this swing high to this swing low, you can see that price is currently at a premium area, right? It is above level 50, which is equilibrium. It's at 75.0, which is extreme premium. And you don't buy at premium, you sell at premium. If you buy at premium, you are taking a very high risk. You are taking a very high risk, okay? So the bias on Euro USD still remains bearish. Technically, it's still bearish. Okay, let's see what we have on 4 hour. Okay, so this is what we had on 4 hour yesterday. So was the last candle for yesterday market. Am I correct here? This was the last candle for yesterday market. So, and you can see this on 4 hour time frame. You can see this on 4 hour time frame. This fair value gap, you can see price pulled back to fill this fair value gap, and it respected that fair value gap. You can see first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt. It has been respecting this fair value gap. So the only time you should buy is when Euro USD, if Euro USD closes, let's say 4 hour time frame, closes above this zone, you could risk buying it. But as far as the market is still trading below this fair value gap, Euro USD is likely going to sell. It's likely going to sell. And I think after the formation of this candlestick, I think a fair value gap was created, and that could be the reason for the pullback. Let's see 1 minute, 1 hour. Okay, let's see 15 minutes. I think a fair value gap was created after the formation of this pattern here. Let's see 15 minutes. So you can see on 15 minutes we had this fair value gap. That could be the reason for the retracement. You can see this fair value gap. You can see. So we had this fair value gap here, which has not been filled. Probably they want to fill this fair value gap before selling. Okay, they probably want to fill this fair value gap before selling. And you can also see here we had this support, which could be the reason price didn't fill that gap. You can see we have this resistance here, this support zone resistance. That could be the reason price didn't fill this fair value gap. I think this is a breaker block. This is a breaker block, and that could be the reason price didn't fill. Let's go back down to 5 minutes. You'll see the breaker block clearly on 5 minutes time frame, and that could be the reason price didn't fill that fair value gap. Okay, so you can see this is the breaker block. This is the breaker block. The low of this candle and the high of this candle is the breaker block. and that could be the reason price didn't come to fill that fair value gap. So based on what I'm seeing on Euro USD, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hour, I think it is bearish. Euro USD is bearish. It is bearish. Euro USD is bearish. Though Euro USD has been in the range from this point to this point, but I think if I'm going to take any risk on Euro, it will be a sell. Okay, it will be a sell. And the stop loss, let's see. Okay, the risk is not much, it's about 20. My stop loss will be above this level, so I will risk 20 pips and will set my TP. I'll go for too much. This fair value gap, most likely they want to fill this fair value gap. Okay, they want to fill this fair value gap. So maybe you risk 20 pips, go for 30 pips or 40 pips. Okay, if you're risking 20 pips, you can just go for 30 pips. Like I said, we might not see much volatility in the market today because of NFP that will be released tomorrow. Okay, so that's my take on Euro USD sell, GBP USD sell. Okay, so let's look at Australian dollar USD as a request from Ebuka. Australian dollar USD. Okay, Australian dollar USD has been bullish. I think since the market opened, Australian dollar USD has been bullish. Okay, let's start with the daily time frame. Okay, so most likely Australian dollar USD wants to go for this high. Okay, that could be the next target for Australian dollar USD, but let's see. Probably after the formation of this candle, probably a fair value gap was created that it wants to fill. Let's just confirm that. So you can see on 4 hour, we had there's a tiny fair value gap here, but to see it clearly, let's go down to 1 hour. See it clearly on 1 hour time frame. Okay, so on 1 hour, you can see this fair value gap. It could be price just wants to fill this fair value gap. And we had a mitigation block here. You can see the mitigation block. You can see price was mitigated at this point. You can see this mitigation. You can see this mitigation. Price respected this previous high mitigation. Okay, and so we had a mitigation block here. So it could be price just want to test that level. You can see it could just test this level before going bearish. Okay, it could just test this level before going bearish. So I think for me, if I'm to take any trade on Australian dollar USD today, it will be a sell. Let's see the pattern that will form after price fills this gap. Okay, after price fills this gap, okay, let's see. So I think what they've done this morning was to clear the liquidity. They've cleared liquidity residing at this previous high. They know a lot of retail traders would have would have sold after the formation of this pattern, even from this point. They know a lot of retail traders would have sold from this point. Okay, this is 4th of June. Today is 5th. Okay, so I think they've cleared the high of the Asian session. This is the high of Asian session. That high has been cleared. So if a bearish reversal pattern forms, that will be the right time to sell Australian dollar USD. I will be selling Australian dollar USD if a bearish reversal pattern forms. Let's see 15 minutes. Okay, so if 1 hour candle closes below this zone, I would sell Australian dollar USD. If 1 hour candle closes below this zone, this fair value gap I identified, I would sell. And if I'm selling below this zone, my stop loss would be above that level. Okay, my stop loss, let me go to 4 hour. Okay, so my stop loss, if I'm selling, if 1 hour candle closes below that zone, I want to sell, and my stop loss would be, let's say it's closed at this point. My stop loss, okay, my stop loss will be the high of this candle, which is not much. 22 pips, 22 pips. I'm missing 22 pips. I want to go for, say, 40 pips. Okay, so my TP will be at this. You can see this fair value gap. So my TP will be at this level. That's about 37 pips. So I could just use 40 pips. 40 pips as my stop loss. I'm going to take this trade. Australian dollar USD. I'm going to sell Australian dollar USD if 1 hour candle closes below this zone. Those of you that trade my strategy, I believe you know the reason for that. I believe you know the reason for that. Okay, so that's my take on Australian dollar USD. Look for sales. I've identified our zones. You can see I've identified the zone. So 15 minutes candle closes, sorry, 1 hour closes below this zone. That's by 11 o'clock. If the market is trading below that zone, that is a sell for me. That is a sell for me. Any question? Any question? Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Okay, someone said we should look at silver, Rotesco, silver. Okay, a few minutes. What's the symbol for silver? What's the symbol for silver? Let me see. New charts. Silver. Okay, silver. Okay, silver. Okay, SAGUSD. Okay, silver. Okay, we'll look at that. But let's look at UJ first. Let's look at UJ. There's UJ. Okay, UJ. UJ is buy. UJ is buy. UJ is buy. UJ is buy. The buy on UJ. It is buy. UJ is buy. It's buy. It's buy. UJ is buy. UJ is buy. UJ targeting. It's coming for this high. UJ is coming for this high. If it successfully breaks out from that high, it is coming for this high. That's what I see playing out on UJ. Okay, that's what I see playing out on UJ. This is daily time frame. So let's see. Yesterday candle closed bearish, and I think that move was to fill a fair value gap that was created on, let's see, 4 hour and 1 hour time frame. So you can see we had this fair value gap on 4 hour. That could be the reason for this retracement. But if you go down to 1 hour, I think we still had a fair value gap. Let's see, 1 hour 15 minutes. So you can see on 1 hour, you can see this fair value gap here. You can see. That's the reason for that pullback. So it got filled at this point. If you look at the time it got filled, I think it was late hours. This could be an Asian session. Can you see that? It's 11 a.m. Okay, so it filled it at this point. You can see that it filled it at this point. Price went up from that point. I think this reversal was as a result of the major news that was released because the dollar was weak. There's the reason for this reversal. So it pulled back because the news was negative for the dollar. It pulled back and it respected that fair value gap. Can you see that? It pulled back, respected that fair value gap, and gets a strong rejection from that point. So this is a buy setup. Shifting market structure has occurred here on 1 hour time frame. You can see shifting market structure has occurred at this point. So price might want to pull back to come and test because a lot of retail traders would have bought from this point. Price might still want to pull back to come and test this level. So if I would risk buying USD JPY, I'll wait for the current 1 hour candle to close. If it closes above that level, the risk here is here. This is about 65 pips. So your stop loss will be at this level, 65 pips. Then your first CP is about 120 pips. That's a good risk reward. Risking 60 pips to make 120 pips. That's a good risk reward. That's 1 to 2 risk reward. Okay. So that's my take on UJ. UJ is buy. UJ is buy. Okay. UJ is buy. You would only consider UJ if a 4 hour candle closes below this zone. Okay, that's when you should consider selling. But at the moment, you should be looking for buys. I don't see any reason to sell UJ from the current market price. I don't see any reason to sell UJ from the current market price. Look for buys. I hope that is clear. Please give the video a thumbs up if you haven't done that. Give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time joining the live stream, please subscribe to the channel so that anytime I come on live, you get notified by YouTube. Okay, so silver. I think silver is positively correlated with gold. Am I right? Okay, we'll not look at gold. We'll look at gold too. I think silver is positively correlated with gold. Silver is positively correlated with gold. Let's see what's happening on gold. Let me confirm that. Gold. Okay, gold also has been bullish. Should I say bullish? It's been in a range kind of, yeah, since from what date is this? What date is this? 3rd of, since, yeah, I think on Tuesday, since Tuesday, you can see it's been in a range kind of. It's been in a range kind of, okay. But if you look at the daily time frame, we could say it's been bullish. Okay, it's been bullish. So it's still bullish long term. Gold is still bullish long term, but I believe there will be a little retracement on gold. Okay, for it to continue with its bullish move. Okay, I think it might retrace all these lows here. I think they would come for. So if I'm going to buy gold, I want to see price come at least fill this fair value gap. Okay, I would like to see price come fill this fair value gap. We have these areas of liquidities that needs to be cleared. They might use NFP to come and fill these gaps. Okay, they might use NFP to fill this gap. Okay, so if NFP is negative for the dollar, we should expect more buys on gold. Okay, we should expect more buys on gold. But if it is positive for the dollar, it will definitely push price down to fill this gap before going bullish. Sorry guys for that break. It was due to one network. Sorry for that break. So my take on silver, my take on silver, it's a buy, okay, but buying at the current market price is at a very high risk. That's a very high risk. Best you wait for a retracement, okay, wait for a retracement before you buy silver. Silver is bullish at the moment, but I advise you wait for a retracement. You don't want to buy from the current market price. So if you want to buy silver, if you want to buy silver, mm, you should wait for a retracement. Okay, if you want to buy silver, wait for price to pull back to this fair value gap, which is in confluence with this resistance or support. Okay, this is where you should be looking for buys on silver. Okay, so you could look for sales. Okay, you could look for sales. Let's see what's happening on 15 minutes. You could risk selling. You could risk selling silver. Okay, you could risk selling silver. Don't buy. Okay, don't buy silver. Okay, look for sales. Okay, that's my advice. Look for sales on silver. Okay, you sell below this level. Okay, you sell below this level, and if you are selling below this level, set a stop loss. Okay, it's about 50 pips. Okay, about 50 pips. Set your stop loss at this level. Your TP. Okay, you can set your TP at this level, about 50 to 70 pips. Okay, so that's my take on on silver. Look for sales instead of buys. Okay, look for sales. There should be a strong retracement on silver before you buy. Don't buy at the current market price unless you're willing to take high risk for little reward. Okay, so that will be all for today's session. I appreciate you all for your participation, and I look forward to having you in the next class. I wish you all a profitable trading day. Bye for now.